Hey, so welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to share with you some quick and easy tips on how to make your property videography quick, easy and efficient for general real estate. Let's get into it. I filmed myself doing a POV of a one-bed flat in Oxford Street, and I feel like it's going to be really valuable to show you guys and illustrate what I do from start to finish, but why I get into property videography in the first place. Personally, I've been doing this for over 5 years since it's a family business. It's something that I've just leaned into and I've really enjoyed over the years, but due to the pandemic, it's actually grown quite a lot. A lot of people are moving flats, moving houses, and a lot of people are actually putting deposits down on flats that they've never even visited yet. That's quite extraordinary for the property market. And what allows this to actually happen is good videos, good virtual tours. If you're someone with a camera, I believe that you can really illustrate and showcase a property to someone who's never been there, so when they actually show up, they should be quite impressed, or at least get what they expect. Before we jump into the tips, like this video, subscribe if you haven't, it really helps the channel out. Now, let's begin. The first mistake I ever made when starting to do photography or videography for any property is not tidying up. Before you even take the camera out your bag, inspect the property, make sure everything is where it should be. If there's any junk lying around, move it. Yes, it's not your responsibility to tidy up. There is a fine line between trash and rubbish, and if someone's told you this place is nice and tidy, but do your due diligence, make sure things are not in the way, try to keep it tidy as possible. Turning on the lights. I really believe that turning on the lights makes the place feel more cozy, more dynamic, adds a nice layer of warmth to a property. This will also ensure that your ISO stays a tiny bit lower so you can actually get nice, clean footage. Great, so the place is tidy, you've turned on the lights, it feels cozy, you got your camera out the bag, you're ready to shoot. Now before you start, take your camera bag and any loose items that you have and hide them somewhere. Typically, I like to go for a wardrobe. There tends to be a lot of space there, hide it there. You may think that it won't get into the shot. Now trust me, there's plenty of times where I've been in that situation and for some reason, it magically appears. So make sure you put your camera bag somewhere hidden. Next, I would highly advise you to change your camera's white balance. Most cameras have really good auto white balance. However, I just told you to turn on all the practical lights to make the place feel nice and cozy. The problem with that is sometimes when you're moving between rooms or panning around the room, the lights can actually interfere with the auto white balance. So you might have a shot that feels really warm and cozy, and then it might turn quite cold. And that can look quite amateurish, look quite unprofessional, and you're spending all this time to try and make a high quality video to showcase your property, and then that happens, it can almost ruin the whole video, in my personal opinion. So that's one thing I've learned throughout the years, is try to avoid that by adjusting your camera's white balance. Try taking a grey card or putting it on tungsten, and you should be good to go. Camera lenses. Now for this particular shoot, I use a 16mm f1.4 and the 35mm f1.4. The reason for this is usually I would like to use a 10 to 24mm f4. I like to shoot most of my property videos at f4, maybe even f5 or 6 if the lighting permits it, because you want to make sure whatever's on the scene is nice and sharp and it's in focus. However, in this particular shoot, it's miserable, it's grey, it's London in December 2021, and unfortunately sunset starts at around 3 o'clock. Now, the reason why I used the 16mm f1.4 was because that's my alternative lens. I typically shot with an aperture of roughly f2 to f2.8. That still allowed majority of things to stay in focus, sharp. Also 16mm is still quite wide, so you're still able to grab a wider context. Also, I like to shoot around 50 frames per second, so my shutter speed will only be around 100. I can slow down my clips by 50%, so if something looks a bit wobbly, I can slow it down. Slowing it down can really help making it smooth. And that's what we're gonna get into the next bit now. How to shoot handheld, because not everyone has a gimbal, and I don't think you need to buy a gimbal to do good quality video shoots of a property. What you need is just a simple camera strap, put it around your neck, attach your camera, and then what you need to do is pull down, create some tension with your neck and the camera, lock your elbows in, and then you move with the camera. Now what this does is create smooth motion and it avoids the little camera jitters that we see sometimes, especially with handheld phone footage. Even though the stabilization in iPhones is really great, if you've ever watched a walkthrough from an estate agency and they just walked around with their phone, it's not always the best. let's admit it. So this is a great technique. I use this for pretty much all situations. I avoid using a gimbal sometimes. There's been times where I've shown up to a set and the gimbal wants to update the software and the Wi-Fi is not really great and I'm screwed. This is always my backup solution. Well, actually it's my first solution. I only use a gimbal if I absolutely need to. Try this technique out. Honestly, I've made a few videos on it and it works really, really well in property shoots. Also, when you use those techniques, it's really handy because you can also use maybe a longer focal length. I use the 35mm f1.4 and I was able to get a few more detail shots just to incorporate them in and also showing the personality of the property. Now, if you want to take this a bit more seriously and you have a bit of money to invest into property videography, I'd highly recommend getting a gimbal as well. It will allow you to make your videos a bit more dynamic and actually have a walkthrough rather than just doing panning shots throughout the whole video. I'll be honest, showing contextually what the property looks like is not boring because the person who's watching that video has a mission to understand what is the property like. And if you're doing that in a really effective way and nice and simple, good. It will work and it will get the job done. We're not trying to make amazing B-roll to show off and get likes on YouTube here. We're trying to serve a purpose. So you don't have to get a gimbal, but if you can, it's really nice to have a walkthrough going from room to room, entering the room, seeing what it feels like to enter the property is a really good way for someone to get a feel of what the property is like. Especially if you're going to take this to a more serious level, you might be doing larger properties, houses that are probably in the countryside. Now that you'd probably want to do a bit more of a walkthrough situation. So like I said, if you're someone that wants to invest in property videography, a gimbal is definitely worth investing in. However, if you just want to get good at it, get practicing, handheld is absolutely fine. It will serve the purpose. I used it here in this segment of the video and I didn't need a lot of it, to be honest. Just a little bit going from room to room, just to show that yes, there's quite a bit of separation from the bedroom to the living room. Well, those are my tips that I would teach to anyone that's trying to get into property videography. I hope someone out there implements them and gets the benefits of these. I've been doing this for over 5 years with my family business, hotels, developments, you name it, they work all the time. If you like this style of video, leave a comment down below. What did you like about it? What did you learn from it? And if there's something that I'm missing or I've left out, please let me know and we can have a discussion down in the comments. If you'd like to see real world working examples of my property video work, hdigital.com, my agency, we do a lot of property video tours now. Check it out. Oh, I almost forgot. If you want to support this channel, I have prints for sale in the description box. Check it out. And I'll see you next time I make a video. Ciao for now.